Coming up today on JBYC.
Wow, what a difference!
Have we moved beyond the age of... Oh, hold on. Let's do this again.
Oh,
today
no.
is
Just
just
roll
not
with
happening. I ate dinner at Applebee's, and it ruined my life.
It ruined you.
Yeah, all right, here we go. Coming up today on... Coming up today on JBYC.
Wow, what a difference!
Have we moved beyond the age of the movie star?
I don't really have a joke. I'm going to talk about Godzilla.
All that and more on today's episode of JBYC.
Jovial butterflies yodel in crosswalks.
So you're gonna want some sticks and some rocks. And if you can smell your teeth being broken, then you're done.
What? How do you get weirder every time?
Hey everybody, it is April 8th, 2019. I'm Bobby Frankenberger, and you're listening to episode 3 of JBYC.
Not a fever dream.
Time's a charm.
That's right, this is a show where the three of us, who've been friends longer than any of us really care to acknowledge, get together and we talk about what's been on our mind in the past week. Every week we have a topic or a theme, and this week it is Blockbuster. It's not really a theme, I guess. It's more like inspiration.
You're going to say something that's the same as a theme.
It's kind of like inspiration. It inspires us. Let me go ahead and introduce my co-hosts since they can't keep quiet today, and I don't want to keep trying to tell them to stop. Hello, Ryan. How's it going?
Good, yeah. I mean, I thought this was a conversation show.
It is. It's less of a conversation at the beginning. It's more about all me at the beginning. So I don't like it when I get stepped on. You know.
This is a vanity project for Bob.
Right.
We're just
Exactly.
set dressing.
Exactly. And then other co-host there is EJ, or as more and more we're being forced to call him,
The Edge.
That's right, the Edge. And how's it going, fellas?
I'm doing all right.
Right.
Over here in Da Nang. If you can hear hammering outside, I apologize. There's a hammerer, and they're just a hammering.
Yeah, Mr. American Johnson is across the ocean, and sometimes he does weird things, and so we just have to put up with some oddness with his audio sometimes. And that's my half apology for. That's me apologizing for our the guy we have to bring along.
Vietnam's just blowing up. They just can't stop building buildings and rooms.
Well,
it's terrible. I can't.
Is
escape
it actually
the
like
construction.
really like a lot of construction?
It's amazing. Yeah, like just to give you a small example, this town's called Da Nang. It's a beach town, and like every 6 months I come visit here, give or take, and every time I come back, it's like impossible to navigate because it's completely changed.
Oh, that's cool.
Because there's just so
I mean,
much
it's
more
also
construction.
crazy, but yeah.
Kind of overdeveloping at this point. I think.
Awesome. Before we get too much further, I want to get to this. Today's episode is brought to you by... Here we go. I got some music for it. Ready? Brought to you by... Worried that your breakfast cake is too round, too perfect? Well, have we got a solution for you? Get out that old waffle iron, a specific appliance that takes up a ton of space and can literally do only one thing. Now, take that delicious pancake batter that you've got and ruin it by pouring it directly right onto the world's worst cooking surface. Watch in horror as a third of it slowly oozes out onto your counter. Amazing. Hey, is that crispy bit of waffles that's stuck in the mechanism from today? Or is that from the last time you used a waffle iron back in January of 2008? That's the kind of fun that you get to do with waffles. It's half the fun, the mystery. Does your family of 4 like their waffles hot and fresh? Well, that's great for you and everyone else because the waffle iron makes it quick and easy to announce to the room which of them is your favorite by giving them the last waffle cooked, leaving everyone else with soggy cold breakfast. Wait a minute. Hey, how is it that I almost got through the whole thing. Wait a minute. How is this one both burnt and still basically goop? It's amazing. Waffles, the worst. Paid for by the multinational dojo of flapjacks. That was
You know that last waffle is always a double-edged sword. Always like half of a waffle with like it looks like the Death Star under construction. You know, there's like crosshatches.
Oh, like the crosshatches,
escaping. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last waffle is always the worst.
Yeah.
But it's always the one we
looks
fight
like a
over. That is true.
nest.
There was a lot of relatable, observable observation humor in that fake commercial read.
That was really good.
I felt like I could relate to it.
That was sent to
Where
us.
did that come from?
That was sent to us by That was sent to us by listener Jonathan Kramer. He sent that to us. And if you would like to send us ad reads to do on the show, which you can send them to our email address at jbycshow@gmail.com, or you can submit them on the website at jbyc.net/contact. That's a thing. We have another one later in the show that's slightly more brief, but we'll get to that later.
I never had waffles growing up.
Kramer's the prodigal son.
The prodigal son?
His return to us.
Oh, yeah. We only had pancakes. We never had waffles. Unless they were Egos.
Have y'all been to one of these hotels lately that has one of those industrial, evil, dangerous waffle machines that like anyone could just walk up to and burn themselves with? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
No.
I feel like
a really big
you
guy.
have to like flip it over, and it's impossible to figure out. You have to watch other people do it and like hope that you don't mess it up.
I kind of just because you're talking about how you have to flip it over and then flip it over again, and
I know what you're talking about.
Just I guess I just flip it like back and forth every like 30 seconds or something.
They're so scary though. They're like it's literally just a huge cast iron behemoth, and every surface of it is burning hot. And you have to use like these they tried to make these proprietary cups because they want to make more money off of selling like resupplies to the hotels, but then the hotels never restock the proprietaries. So then they'll just put like a big ass like solo cup, and it'll be fill it up. Don't fill it up all the way. You know, you're just like, how much batter do I use? I don't know. And then it's shooting hot batter in your face.
Yeah,
not a good user experience.
It starts to steam and sputter at you, and then you've spilled it all over the counter, and then all the other people who are sitting there eating their bagels and oatmeal that were also part of the continental breakfast, they sit there judging you and
But they just suddenly started popping up all over the place, and I think there must I like to imagine the traveling salesman going around selling those industrial waffle irons. He's like, "Have I got a proposition for you?" He's like leaning over the counter.
I think I've only seen him in movies. I've never seen one in person, or I've never used one. No,
because we had them when we were in college. There was that one breakfast place you could go to, but it was all the way across campus. So we had
a flippy thing.
Yeah, well, it was the breakfast buffet place. What was in those towers? What were they called? I don't know. You had to go across the bridge.
Blatt.
You had,
no, not Blatt.
Isendor and Isengard?
Yes.
No, past Blatt down to whatever those
you had to pass the Blatt. You had to pass two gyms so that, on the way there and on the way back, because they just wanted to torture you.
Sauron has taken control of the two gyms of Blatt and... What's the other one called?
Cross the bridge that goes over the railroad track.
The other one's named after the old racist.
Really, though,
right? It
was
Furman.
Strom Thurmond.
Yeah, really, the old racist. You used to be able to say it's funny because it's true, and it's just sad now. But it really was like a gauntlet of shame after eating a breakfast buffet.
I never felt that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, because you walked over that bridge also, which was like you walked past the gyms. And then the basketball courts, and then over that bridge, which was over like a soccer field, where people. Yeah,
your athletic friend would come up and be like, "Hey, Bobby, you're gonna come to the gym and work out? Great to see you." And you're like, "I'm just here to have waffles."
Or more like, I'm like, I gotta go back to the dorm.
We were all too lazy to go that far anyway.
We only made a trek there like once a semester, and it was like a really big deal. We walked in the door, and
it was an event.
Yeah, but the point is, they had one of those waffle makers there. So
they did not. I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
EJ, let's I hear you told us recently, and I haven't heard a follow-up from it yet, that you recently participated in an interview by who? The New York Times?
The New York Times, the purveyor of cold takes.
The purveyor
One
of
of
cold takes. Ice cold
one of the
takes.
worst.
The paper of record.
Yeah, recording bad ideas and writing them down.
Right.
But
Namely,
yeah, so
our friend Edge.
I had the interview, and then so I don't know. The funny thing is, it went fine, and we just had like a conversation, and it was fine.
So,
but then at the end of it,
start from the beginning. Hold on. Why were you being interviewed? I don't
that's
even know
part of the story.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm not supposed to talk about that.
Uh-oh. Is it a secret interview?
Right? Well, I don't know. So I think it's better if I start at the beginning. So here's how it worked. Okay, we had the interview. I'm just gonna kind of skip the interview. The interview went fine.
Okay.
More or less. I didn't feel like there were any problems. There were no like gotcha questions or anything. The guy was just asking me like basic questions about stuff. Then at the end, see, I don't use my real name on the internet. I just don't for a variety of reasons, some obvious and some not.
Yeah.
But he was like, "This is your real name, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't want you to call me that. That's not what I use for like when I publish articles. It's not what I use for. It's not my identity. Like publicly, it's not my identity." And I mean, people do it all the time. Like nobody calls like Demi Moore her real name, which is like Daphne Wheeler. I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like nobody.
Right.
Like this.
I
is
didn't
very
know that was a fake name.
Well, yeah, but like
Exactly.
lots of
That's
writers
almost
and
proving a
actors
point.
and people have fake names, and
Yeah.
that's their identity. And I also have like ideological reasons as an anarchist that I don't like the idea that like only the government can define your identity, and there are a lot of reasons for that range from like some people have like for instance here in Vietnam, a lot of people have like quote unquote English names that they use for like their business and for everything that they do when they interact with the outside world, and then Facebook goes and makes them use their like quote unquote real name that they don't want to identify as, and then also like the trans community has a lot of issues.
And then they put
so
like
for all
in
these
the
reasons,
brackets, yeah.
Yeah, so for all these reasons, I like am ideologically opposed to the idea that like the government stipulates your name. I think people should own their own names. Whatever. Okay, so the point is, we got into a bit of a tiff about that.
We
kind of debated. It was like
journalist?
a debate for about 10 minutes.
On the
right
phone?
at the end. Wait, what?
On the phone during like.
Yeah, and I didn't see it coming, and I don't think he saw it coming. So I know he thought I was just some obnoxious like weirdo. And I was just like he was thinking, oh, this freaking weird anarchist with this weird, bizarre, like, who gives a crap, And then I was just thinking, this freaking reporter, why does he care? Why doesn't he just let me identify? You know what I'm saying? So we just kind of got annoyed with each other. And then we just kind of like hung up on each other. But it wasn't like super, but okay. But the funny thing is, after we have this whole like tit for tat about my name, he's like, oh, and by the way, make sure you don't tell anybody about this story because I don't want any other reporters. A lot of other reporters are sniffing around, and I don't want them to get this scoop on me.
Oh, so why wouldn't
why
wouldn't you want to have a?
I was like, okay, well, I won't dox you if you don't dox me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Quid quo pro.
But it was just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I can't stand. I don't know. I mean, I can't stand some of this stuff.
What kind of things was he
Like,
saying? Like,
that's-
it's.
Why
it's
does he
your
think I
name.
would give a shit if some other journalist from some other capitalist newspaper gets the scoop on his story and like steals market share from him? Like, I'm opposed to all this kind of like competition crap. If they were really ethical journalists, they would want the truth to come out, and it wouldn't matter who got the byline.
Yeah, you tell him.
Am I right or am I right? Or am I right? I'm right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe.
I think there's room for being right and like wanting to have the story first. Like,
well, if he wants to have the story first, all I'm saying is he should just like.
Oh, just do it.
Respect
Like
my wishes.
Like the name thing is
EJ,
so whatever. I don't understand why it
just
became
wants
a
to
thing.
be right and the most popular. Is that really so wrong to want fame?
Young Simba said, "Did I lose the New York Times interview?" No, I didn't. I don't. Do you mean like lose, like in terms of victory, or, or like did I not get the?
He's
I did the interview.
NDA basically right now, so you can't talk about it.
Yeah,
it's not. I didn't sign anything. I can tell you all about it if I want to, and I'm thinking about it, but I haven't.
Guy sounds like a dickhead to me.
No, he was all right. I honestly
don't
blame him. It's like we were talking about earlier before the show started. Like, I'm not blaming the individual. It's more of a system problem.
Well,
like, he was fine. He was a nice guy. I really don't have anything against him. It's just the way that the industry works. And then he was also trying to do the pass the buck thing. Like, oh, well, this is going to be a decision my editors make. And I'm like, well, then let me talk to your editors if they're going to make a decision about my identity and how they identify me. And he's like, well, I can't really do that. And I'm like, well, this is
Maybe
This is
put
why I
a
hate
sticky note on it
hierarchy.
and be like, "Hey, this is his name, not the other thing, not his actual name."
It just, well, I don't know. It just annoys me. I'm just annoyed.
I'm just saying it's very easy for him to make a big note on it and be like, "Hey, yeah, we're using this name," or just don't write both names.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Well, see, I know though. Like, why is this the hill that this guy wants to die on? And I was also thinking, why is this the hill that this guy wants to die on? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I know we both saw each other as being completely unreasonable in that situation.
Right. So
And I can't expect him to have this whole like body of ideological framework that I have built up in my mind. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
it's just, I guess what I'm saying is hashtag normies, you know, like it's interacting with normies.
Stop that.
I knew that would annoy Ryan. I specifically did that to annoy Ryan.
all right. Well,
I hate
with
that.
that,
I hate when people use the word weebs too. It's like, oh, fuck off.
well, with that, here we go. Here we go. Ready?
Can't have poor people. We still need communism. You know, kind of a share.
All right. So EJ, we're here to talk about. I guess our theme is Blockbuster. So why don't you get us started today?
That's right, Bob. Blockbuster Video. We all went there. We all rented movies there, even though it was more expensive than the local place that had older titles in stock. If you're 35 years old, you know what I'm talking about. Blockbuster Video. Did you know they're not all gone? There's one left in the quaint little town of Bend, Oregon, with just under 100,000 residents.
I saw that on Last Week Tonight. John Oliver did a whole piece.
Oh, really?
on-
It's like the one in the world now, right?
Yeah,
There's
I think
one left. There were 5 in Australia, and there was 1 in Australia, and now there are 0 in Australia, and now there's only 1 in Bend, Oregon. It's true.
I think I still
just
have my
one
card
left.
somewhere.
I did have it for a long time. It was like a straight up like it wasn't a card even. It was just like a laminated piece
Printout
of
that they
cardboard.
laminated.
Yeah. And it
Now,
always
what I'm wondering
tore
about
up
is
my
I
wallet.
had a video game out when Blockbuster died. I don't remember what I can't remember what it was, but I had rented a video game when Blockbuster like shut its doors
You
forever.
don't know what the
and
game
I was
was?
thinking the whole time.
That's like the whole. It's like this whole story right here. Why you gotta remember what that game was?
I just don't remember because I don't even. It was something for no. It was because when did Blockbuster go out of business? It was like 2005 or 6 or something.
Was it
Was
that
it
late?
before or after we got out of college? No, it was after we got out of college. But yeah, because I remember specifically going to Blockbuster to rent episodes of 6 Feet Under.
Yeah,
So, like-
because
I
I
was
went.
watching.
I went and got
2007, 8.
I was getting 24 DVDs from Blockbuster. With
I think
Jack
it was
Bauer.
something for the Wii. I think it was a Wii game, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, I had this video game out, and I remember they were putting out in the newspaper like Blockbuster's going out of business, blah blah blah, and I just was like, well, I'm not returning this video game. This is mine now because they're not gonna.
Well, they were like
Gonna
selling the
collect.
stock. Like they were just straight up selling it in the store. I know that because like people
Yeah,
would go. It
but
was
I had
basically a
one
rummage
rented.
sale. Yeah,
Oh
I know.
no, they were
yeah.
selling them for like $1 or something.
Yeah,
and
they
I
were,
remember
like,
too,
they
like this
didn't
was
care.
such a silly thought, but I remember I had this video game and I was like a fugitive from Blockbuster, and I remember also going into Blockbuster and to like buy games because they were so cheap at that time.
Mhm.
And this is such a ridiculous because this is not how the world works. But I was just like, what if they catch me? Like while I was buying one, I was like, what if they know that I still have a video game rented or something? You know what I mean? 'Cause-
You and every person that goes to a library. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, just a side note. One time I went to the Goose Creek Library when I was about 30 years old.
That's a city.
Yeah, Goose Creek. It's where we all hatched or something, whatever, where we all met each other. One time I went to the Goose Creek Library when I was 30 years old, and the librarian looks at me because I was like signing up for a library card, and like, you know, they ask for your social security stuff and everything. And she looks up at me with a perfectly straight face and like deadpan. She goes, it says in our records that you've had the book like Wally the Koala's Adventure overdue for 26 years. Apparently, I checked out some book when I was like 6 years old with my little like child's library card. And
What
they
was
still
the
had a
fine?
record
Did they
of it.
make you pay it?
She
Excuse
waived
me,
it finally.
you-
They were gonna make me just buy the book.
You
but
own $537.20.
It was such a straight face, and it was like such a children's.
So
I
it
don't
was
know
all
what the name
matter
the
of
book
fact,
actually
like
was.
You have checked this book out for 26 years. Are you returning it today?
I was like a 30-year-old man, and she looks at me, and it was just like the most ridiculous children's name, like Wally the Worm visits Adventureland or something, I laughed hysterically, and she was just like, she's like, like we
Sir,
see it every day.
I'm being serious.
Yeah.
But that brings me back to the point that like, how much do I owe a late fee to this Bend, Oregon video store? Did they like inherit all of that rental debt? And if so,
this is what we do.
I've calculated that my rental overdue fee is at least minimum $15,000.
This is it. The first JBYC Studios documentary film. We go and follow Edge across the world, really.
Yeah.
to that
Around
Blockbuster on his journey to return in good faith to return this game.
Which
If
you
I
mean?
still,
we
if
get
I
in the
had the
airplane.
game, if I had it in the, somebody should do this. If I had the game in the Blockbuster thing, I would absolutely do that. I have, look, Tom lives in Oregon, so I could just go visit Tom, and I would definitely do that. I just don't have the game. What I should do is go back and be like, look, I'm really sorry I lost that game that I rented 12 years ago.
Sir, you came all the way to the last Blockbuster to say this? Why?
It's kind of like a pilgrimage.
Yeah, it is.
Do you feel that guilty? Why didn't you just bring it back immediately?
He's a different man now.
Yeah, like I've changed. I'm reforming.
I've done a lot of
I'm
growing.
turning myself in. I'm turning myself in.
Lay myself down before the law.
I'm ready.
The law that is Blockbuster, yeah.
Blockbuster law.
That's like some anarcho-capitalist right-wing libertarian's wet dream. Like when Blockbuster rules the law.
The sheriff of Blockbuster comes out from the porn room. Ching.
Like maritime law, but it's Blockbuster law? Yeah.
Blockbuster time law.
Listen here, son.
I don't recognize your country of America. I'm a Blockbusterian.
I'm a Blockbusterian.
Yeah.
I'm a Blockbusterer.
The Blockbuster, yeah. In our Discord server, Stealth Intel said when we announced that it was going to be Blockbuster, that was going to be our theme. He said, so I think I was in a Blockbuster maybe twice in my life. Both times were this surreal experience of why am I here again? And oh, wow, that's a straight to VHS Disney movie I've never heard of before.
And oh, wow, what a difference.
In the chat, Maddie Smith just said one of the last Blockbusters in Australia was just up the road from me, and it's a pharmacy now. And I was is the reason, maybe somebody in the chat can answer this, but I was wondering, is the reason that Australia still had so many Blockbusters left because of the whole bush thing? Was that for people in the bush who don't have super good internet and they have to fly an airplane into town once a month for supplies or whatever?
I figure because they're independently owned.
Oh, I think I might as well. Wait, that's Cockney. Hold on.
Yeah, go with it. Go with it.
That's a
Say Barbie. Say shrimp.
Let's stop by the Blockbuster and get us rent us a DVD.
Yeah, that's not a knife,
mate. I don't know. I'm losing my ability to do accents.
Yeah.
Good.
G'day. I want to go to Blockbuster. I don't know. I shouldn't practice this on the air.
No, please do some more.
No, please keep going.
Yeah.
That's a dingo. That's a dingo over there.
That's a dingo.
We have a movie rental place in our town called Family Video, and I never see anybody going in there or leaving, but it's for as long as I've lived in this area, this Family Video has been in business. Its doors have been open, lights have been on. That's exactly what I'm saying. Have we had this conversation before? Because
no, I think it sounds like a mafia.
This is what everything always says. Yeah,
that's what I say about everything.
Luna and I tried to go to this coffee shop yesterday, which was a lot like Family Video. It was like this coffee shop, and it was called Most Coffee. We just wanted a place that had internet, and there are all these old Vietnamese and Korean men sitting outside and smoking, and they have nice fancy hats and stuff. It's at the beach, so they're wearing these straw hats and stuff. And we go inside the coffee shop, and the security guard comes up to us and is like, "Oh, no coffee." And we were just they're having a mafia meeting. It's like the Vietnamese and Korean mafia.
It isn't weird having a security officer for a coffee shop.
Well, that's not so weird in Vietnam because they usually park the motorbikes and stuff. It's It's like a motorbike thing.
So was he saying he doesn't want any coffee, or he was telling you not to?
No, he was saying he put his hands up like this, and he was like, "You're not going in there." He wasn't threatening, but it was. Like,
so he was telling you, like basically,
No entry.
Sorry, pal. Coffee
like,
place.
"You're not having
closed.
coffee today, kid." It was like that.
We're not serving coffee here today.
Yeah.
I like how you both
there's
went
all
to
these,
that
like,
same
old,
accent there
intimidating-
when you were
Yeah.
doing that. Like,
That's the standard mafia accent.
yeah.
Yeah.
Your knee breaker accent. Yeah.
I guess I could have gone Russian, like, I'm sorry, today there'll be no coffee.
He was actually very friendly though, but it was like a firm no. It was firm. He was harsh but fair, and so we moved along. But it was definitely a mafia. They were having a mafia summit. I'm
Well,
sure.
if The Sopranos taught me anything, then they're harsh
did.
but fair people.
I don't know. No comment.
What?
No comment
Did-
on The
what-
Sopranos.
You're not supposed to take any life lessons from The Sopranos, Bobby.
Did I fall asleep during that show? I don't know. Maybe.
Should we dox your mafia history, Bobby, or are you not comfortable talking about that?
I mean, it's speculative history. Like, I don't.
But basically, Bobby's grandfather or who was it? Your grandfather or your great grandfather?
I
That
think
was like a lawyer for the mafia.
Somebody somewhere. It's all hazy now.
He doesn't want to talk about it. Oh, it's like the classic duck. Oh my god.
No, I don't really know for sure. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
These legal proceedings fell off the back of a truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
My family history is. That was good, right? That was really. I was trying to follow it up. I can't follow it up.
Yeah. Let's.
I used to know a guy that actually did that, where like he was a uncle of a family friend, and he would lose mattresses off the back of a truck, but they were literally just mattresses. So like you just get people them for like half price, and he's stealing stock basically.
Right.
It was very silly.
Mattresses. And then they went to the mattresses. That's a thing, right?
Yeah, and that's why I had to be like it was actual mattresses.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's do this.
And now for something completely different.
Ooh, how'd you like that? So our next segment is brought to you by Product. Buy it. That's it. That's the ad read.
What?
Product. Buy it. That was
Is it
sent to
Is it
us.
called drugs?
No,
Did
product.
we just do a commercial for drugs?
Product.
I'm cool with that.
That was sent to us by Nick. Again, if you want to send us ad reads, I am really excited about this, reading the ads from you guys. Just send us anything to JBYC
We
show
just
at
sold 2
gmail.com.
to Dorian's Sapiens
We
already.
didn't sell anything.
2 product.
Yeah, 2 product. There you go. See, your product. We can sell it right here on the show. So we're talking about. This is sort of going to be a lead-in for what I want to talk about, but we're talking about Blockbuster movies, video stuff, and I have been watching on Netflix recently.
Okay.
I have been
You were
watching.
watching.
I have been watching. Stall for me to remember the name of the show. Oh, Sabrina. So that new Sabrina show. You know what I'm talking about? Is that what it's
Yeah.
called? So it's just called
It's
Sabrina.
based off the comics. It's a lot more dark.
Yeah. So like it's Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but it's nothing like the.
It's like the grown-up.
Well, so that's what I thought. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. They're taking the TGIF show, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and they're making it more grown up and everything. But as I was reading about it before, this is the second season that just started. I watched the first season when it came out too. As I was reading about it during the first season, as Ryan just alluded, it's been around in comic form for a long, long time. It was actually an Archie Comics spinoff. It's in the same universe as the whole Riverdale show.
Yeah, I was going to
that's
talk
on
about the Archie like
Archieverse?
reboot, which is super dark and
there. Yeah.
and like adult.
Yeah, so
Mhm,
apparently
mhm, mhm.
Sabrina has always been that way, and it's just, they're Netflix is doing a show that is more true to form. But the reason I want to talk to you guys about it is I really love this show, and it reminds me so much. First of all, have either of you seen it?
No, I'm aware of it. I've seen bits of it.
So it stars
I don't watch
I have
television.
not.
it stars
I saw
the-
Clarissa Explains It All
I've seen
back
lots
in
of
the
that.
early 90s.
I like that cat.
Yeah, so that's
And the
not the same
crocodile.
show.
Elvis. Salem.
It's kind of not the same show at all. But the
Melissa Joan Hart
Right. No, I got what you were doing. I gotcha. So this show stars as Sabrina, the what's her name? I can't remember the actress's name, but if you watched Mad Men, it was that oldest daughter to John Hamm's character. EJ, I
forgot her name.
I know you know who I'm talking about. She's I have no idea. She's not any better at acting in this show than she was in that show, but the show is still.
You talking the oldest daughter for Mad Men?
Yeah.
She was a great actress. Are you kidding me? You didn't think she was a good actress?
I felt that her performance...
Sally.
Yeah, Sally. I felt her performance was always kind of stilted and forced, but maybe that was because she was playing...
I mean, that's exactly what Don Draper was like, but that's why we all loved him. She was like a little Don Draper. That's why I liked her performance. She was like especially when she got older.
Right.
You know? She was like a moody,
then maybe
edgy teenager.
I will admit that maybe my perception of her in this show and her acting in this show, it could be unfairly influenced by what I thought about her in that show, but that's besides the point. The point is,
does she smoke a lot of cigarettes? Because that's how I see her evolving.
No,
in my headcanon.
She doesn't. So
I never watched Mad Men because it always kind of irked me, and I don't know why.
I loved that show. I felt like
supposed to make you uncomfortable.
I felt like
I don't watch those kind of shows.
Cinematography wise, that show was amazing. Like I felt like every shot, like I could have just still framed that and hung it on the wall. Like it was such a good looking show. But Sabrina is about this,
and they had a lot of nice fedoras in that show too.
It was about a witch. It's about a witch who is kind of like halfway between. She's half witch, half human, and there's this whole storyline there, and it's a little teenagery, but it's also really dark and
Witches
serious.
are their own like race, like elves or like little gnomes or what?
They don't really explicitly say that, but it kind of implies it. But
Okay.
they still have to be like. Witches still have to go through like a dark baptism to become full witches and all this kind of stuff. But
That's my metal album.
Dark Baptism? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was a good one. I remember that one.
Good. In the Baptist church.
You did that. You did that one really kind of in your turning around, coming of age metal history.
Mm-hmm.
So Sabrina, so really to get back full circle to the reason I really brought it up is that I know all of you watched Buffy, and to me, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and to me it feels really a lot like a modern day Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like,
does she slay vampires?
No, but in tone, but also what they're doing with the show. You know how Buffy was like on the surface it was Buffy slaying vampires, but really it was a show for teenagers about the issues that teenagers were going through at the time, and it looked at those questions and problems honestly.
That's the part that EJ hated the most.
Right.
Like he hated like
I just didn't like the Buffy character. It's like every character was stronger.
There's another
than Buffy.
parallel. I don't really care for the Sabrina character all that much in this show. She's okay, but I don't care for her all that much. But the show, like, it does that. It tackles all these like modern. So that's why I say it's like a modern version of Buffy, because Buffy was handling things like teen sex, right? And it tried to handle it in like an honest way. So this show,
I don't remember them talking about that.
There was a whole subplot between her and Buffy and Angel, her boyfriend Angel, and how they can't have sex because it'll turn him into a demon.
First of all, Angel was not a teen. Angel was like a 300-year-old.
I know.
That's another reason. That's another
not
point
recording
against Buffy.
a Buffy episode. All right, we're not going to
much to my
analyze
chagrin.
All right. Well, you brought it up.
Yeah,
the point is
your fault.
The point is that this Sabrina show also tackles sex, but in a much more like modernized way.
Witchy
Like it's
way?
very sex positive.
A show for teenagers talking about sex.
It's
What
very
a
it's
surprise.
very sex positive. It's not like you should kind of be careful here. It's like, okay, you're having sex, but let's talk about what that means. And
let's get out the banana and the condom and let's do this right. Let's learn how this works.
It kind of like it
Dad,
assumes
please.
and takes for granted that the kids are having sex, which I think is a very like good approach. Anyway, it feels really
Positivity.
good. Yeah, it's a really good show, and I think you should check it out.
Okay, Johnny Carson.
That's my recommendation for.
It's a really good show.
Yeah.
You should check it out.
What are you watching, EJ? Ryan, you don't watch anything, right? You just watch.
I watched Umbrella Academy recently.
Oh, so
that was good.
was really good.
Mob Psycho 100 is really good. That's an anime, so you won't watch it. That's about it. It's very,
I'm
very,
about to
very,
wrap
very,
up Deep Space
very
Nine.
good.
Deep Space Nine is about to finish.
For your
I'm
for
sad
the
about
first
that.
time?
Yeah, I never watched Star Trek much. None of us did. Remember, we all used to make fun of Steven for it because at the time I was a non-believer.
There are a lot of things I made fun of my schoolmates for that I find out now. I'm totally into, and I feel really guilty about it.
Yeah, Steven was right about Star Trek.
You remember when we used to make fun of Ryan for playing MMOs back in high school, and then now I still spend every day, at least part of my day, playing a little bit of World of Warcraft.
Yeah, you remember when we used to make fun of Ryan and Tom for telling us not to make racist jokes?
Oh yeah. Oh god. I don't know if we want to talk about that one, but no. You know what? Let's if we're being honest, it was the '90s, early
ahead
80s,
of his time.
Yeah, late '90s, early '80s, and we made stupid jokes that stupid teenagers make, and both Ryan and Tom were always like, guys, cut it out, and we were like, you guys are lame.
Can't you take a joke?
Yeah, it turns out they were right.
We were the proto alt-right kids, and Ryan was the champion of truth.
Like a 10-year difference, we could have been those people. Yeah.
I know. I think about that. I think about that constantly, all the time. There, but for the grace of God, go I.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Okay. Well, now that I've made everyone uncomfortable,
how do you feel about the baseball episodes of Deep Space Nine?
I like them. I don't know. I like them. They're cute. I don't have a problem with them.
Where it's like, there's in particular one baseball episode, isn't there, where they all
there's one where they play a game with the Vulcan, and I don't know. I thought it was cute. It was funny. I especially liked the way that they, the characters had a different context, a chance to have a different context. And I loved the way it actually annoyed me a little bit at first, but I liked how no, this was a really good moment. It was when Sisko kicked Rom off the team, and everyone else was like, dude, chill out. It's just a game. You can't freaking kick. We work with Rom every day. You can't just kick him off the team like this. You're being a dick. And then at the end, Sisko was like, you know what? You're right. Get back in the game, Rom. Computer, turn on the crowd so they could cheer for him.
It was a learning moment. Everybody was
Is Sisko your favorite captain?
No, Kirk's my favorite still, but I like Sisko. You know what I like about Sisko? I like Sisko. He's like, okay, I was talking to Luna about this because all we ever do is talk about Star Trek. But I was like, Sisko seems kind of too perfect because, Kirk had all these character flaws that he was really arrogant and he was really he didn't know his own limitations. And then Picard also had dealt with arrogance. And I was like, Sisko's just always a nice guy, and it seems like he's too perfect. And
Until
Luna made the observation.
Really mad.
Well, he's just inexperienced. At least at the beginning of the show, his flaw is that he's literally inexperienced, and he makes like Kirk and Picard, they make better decisions all the time, but their flaw is their arrogance because they've gotten so used to making the right call that they don't realize it when they're making the wrong call. Whereas Sisko is totally not overconfident, but that's because he makes mistakes all the time still. So it actually makes perfect sense, and I really like that about Sisko. But then also as the show progresses, I like how Sisko hardens and becomes more, first of all, more jaded and more world weary.
Yeah, definitely.
But also more arrogant, and he starts to get more callous about the decisions he made. I think it's it's really great.
I found a supercut of Benjamin Sisko yelling at
I want to know what the hell is going on.
Yes.
I want to know why my science officer's been transferred without my
consent. I love his voice.
I want to know why my chief of operations is lying in the infirmary while the...
Hold on, let's skip ahead a little.
It's making me so happy.
He's good.
...self in critical condition in the Rotaran sick bay. Now, I have given you both a lot of leeway when it comes to following Klingon traditions.
I could read, if he was reading Shakespeare to me, I could just fall asleep to that.
Yeah, he's...
No, seriously, he's amazing. And did you know the episode Far Beyond the Stars?
I know the title.
Back to the 1950s, and he faces the racism of the era.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The acting was so amazing. That was Oscar-worthy performance if they gave Oscars for 90s sci-fi.
They give Hugo, I think, for that kind of stuff.
Cisco was crazy.
It should have won everything.
He had breaks with reality a couple of times. It seemed like
Yeah.
But it was
100%.
good. It was like that was his thing. It felt good.
And I like how he sort of also has the arc where he starts to like believe in the prophets and become like a Bajoran. He sort of like acculturates to Bajor.
Yeah.
And I like that too. Like that's something that annoyed me at first was the religious aspects. I could talk about this all day, so stop me whenever you want. But the religious aspects of Bajorans annoyed me at first, but then I realized like actually that's very interesting because we never saw how religious people deal with the world of Star Trek and the problems of the Star Trek universe, and they actually did a pretty good job with it, I think.
I haven't watched it in
All
so
remaining
long that I don't remember that bit of it at all, really. I don't remember like him. I remember him being like thinking about it and like talking about it, but I don't remember like the religious aspect really at all. It's just like out of my brain.
Yeah.
It's actually like the main plot that goes through the whole thing. I never watched it when I was like younger. I never even paid attention to it.
Everyone
I
hates
watched it
Captain.
like 7 years ago.
I don't think everyone hates her, but no one ever names Janeway as their favorite, and I liked Janeway a lot. And
Voyager's next for me, so
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
Janeway's
I mean,
cool.
like I should watch Voyager, right? I've heard a lot of people say like, don't waste your time with that.
no,
I
Voyager's
think I
good.
should watch it.
It's good.
I would skip Enterprise, but
Arguably,
I'm actually really
Voyager
looking forward to Enterprise
Voyager has got a
because I
lot more
really
of
love
our
Quantum.
like our what do you call it? Our formative year. It was going on during our formative years, like there's 7 of 9
We were in high school.
and yeah.
I remember seeing it on like TV guides at the cash register.
see, I was watching
Like,
Farscape then, and I was like into like the Jim Henson Muppets for all the aliens and like just kooky ideas.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Watch Farscape; it's very good.
That's good. Let's do this.
Dang it, Bobby, that's exactly what we don't want. Bobby, I've got some good
Bobby?
news.
All right, so
Bobby?
I want to talk about.
Dang it, Bobby!
Dang it,
Sorry,
Bobby.
can't help it.
Recently,
We can't stop it.
We're practicing.
Recently, we've had announcements of relatively recently of Disney Plus, the streaming service that's coming out, and then very recently, is it called Apple Plus? Is that what
I
they're
don't know.
calling it?
Do
Apple,
not have
the
that.
Apple streaming
All that
service. Well, nobody has it yet. They just
capitalization.
announced it that they're doing their own streaming service. The Disney
They would.
Yeah, they would. Disney Plus is going to be the Disney streaming service, and it's they're you guys know for the past a while they've been pulling all of their like Marvel properties and stuff off of Netflix and everything, and for a long time it was speculated they were going to do this, but they definitely are. And it's I think I will get it. I mean, I don't know why I wouldn't. I have kids, so. And there's going to be a lot of really cool things on the Disney streaming service. Do you guys like Disney stuff? Like, are you into the Marvel, the MCU? Why are you laughing?
Actually, I can answer this truthfully. Gravity Falls on Disney Channel was very, very, very good show.
Wasn't that made by the Gravity Falls was made by the people who made Rock? Is that
It
true?
might have similar, like it's just very,
might be
very
wrong.
clever. But it was on Disney.
I've heard good
I like
things
the
about it, but
Guardians
I've
of the
never watched
Galaxy. To answer your question,
Yeah, very good.
that's it.
You don't like
Everything
Ragnarok?
else just
That's
feels
very
like
good.
I don't know. All those movies when I watch them, they just feel like one big montage.
Oh,
I can see that about
every
most
For
of
sure,
them.
some of those Avengers movies definitely feel like the second Avengers movie was pretty bad.
The first Captain America was like literally there was like a 15-minute setup.
Well, yeah, the first like half of the movie was a
They established
time travel
they established
montage.
the stakes, and I think they did a good job establishing the stakes and setting up the characters and all that.
Mhm.
And then like what is it that like they say like page 10 turn or whatever. So at 10 minutes into it, it turns and the plot starts, and then it's just a montage until the end of the movie.
I can
Like
see that.
literally everything is just montage. And
Like
I'm
I
just
think the better entries are like Ragnarok, where it's like a space kind of opera kind of thing, and like Winter Soldier, where it's like a spy thriller instead of
I haven't
like
seen those.
Those
Yeah.
are both stand out because they're different takes on the formula.
Definitely,
They're not
I
just
think-
like
I
we
think-
hang around and then we fight a big bad.
for sure. I think.
Well, that's
Marvel
why I mean I
movies-
like Guardians of the Galaxy a lot. So
Marvel movies
I
are
don't know.
definitely they're at their best, I think, when they are doing not superhero movies, and this is what they do most of the time now. They're doing genre films, and that's why I think things like you're saying Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok, those are really good ones because they're doing genre films.
I had a question related to this that I was going to do in a different segment that I cut because I didn't want to just do about blockbusters. But When you think about like modern movies, what do you like as a blockbuster? What do you think of like those films?
Yeah, that's
like,
what
is
I
that
think
the first
of.
thing?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think of popcorny action flicks, like which I
Okay.
like a lot. I think a lot
I feel like action movies don't actually do as well as they used to anymore, though. Like when you have a real, like especially like stuff. What's the last really famous war movie that came out? I mean, I can think of like Black Hawk Down, maybe.
Maybe.
See that's the second part of my question. Like during our formative years, what would you think of a blockbuster?
Definitely like the Nick Cage, Bruce Willis action movies. Definitely.
I think of Titanic.
For our demographic.
I think of Titanic as like when I first think of like the biggest blockbuster that comes to mind.
Right.
Titanic.
That's true. That was definitely. I mean, obviously, the statistics show that Titanic was a super huge blockbuster.
Oh, and I was just wondering like what you guys think of like immediately.
Yeah, Titanic's the first thing that pops into my head because it was the one the age to give a shit about that stuff.
I think that's true. This kind of leads to where I wanted to go with this, which is a question of are streaming services nowadays, and I think I won't just say like video streaming necessarily. Like I think this whole trend started with music streaming services, but are streaming services sort of like bringing about the end of the movie star. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
So really,
I would cite. Here's okay. I'm gonna bounce this out of left field, but I would cite Seinfeld as like the best evidence for that, because Seinfeld. Remember when like Seinfeld? Everybody watched Seinfeld. If you're older, you might go back to like Johnny Carson, but like you used to have these shows that everybody watched, like no matter how old you were, no matter your gender, whatever. And it was like you could have a conversation with somebody about Seinfeld, and you could know that you would both have like a relevant,
like a good water cooler conversation you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, there was even that there used to be the show called Viva Variety, which was like a sketch comedy show, and they even had a song called "Did You See Seinfeld Last Night," where there are like showgirls and like like Chippendales dancing around a water cooler. And they're like, "Did you see Seinfeld last night?" And it was just this thing, like everybody talked about it. But that was kind of like the last gasp of at least in the United States of America, of our like media mono.
No, because like The Office did the same thing. I feel.
Yeah. That The Office was like, but less so. I think the Office was like a echo of it.
Oh no, I think that we were just out of the scene by that point.
Well, that's what.
So I didn't watch The Office. I didn't watch Seinfeld really either, though.
I guess you'd have to look at the numbers.
I don't know. Yeah. I think there are still some like How I Met Your Mother. And
that was massive.
I think there's a lot of people that didn't.
Well, I didn't like that show. I didn't watch it.
I didn't really watch Seinfeld.
Right. But How I Met Your Mother, it's undeniable that it's a huge,
it was
cultural, massive.
But how long ago did that show end?
Like
just a few years ago.
3-4 years ago. I don't know.
Hold on, I'm going to do the numbers. I'm going to look at the numbers because I'm just curious. This is actually something.
I'm going to crunch some numbers. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
But then on top of that, like I don't know. There's also Dumb Nerd Show. What's that dumb show about the nerds?
Big Bang Theory.
I love how we both do exactly.
Bazinga.
Yeah, there's that show too. So I don't know if that's really true about sitcoms. I would say.
Well, I don't think it's even if we say that it was Seinfeld, I don't think that, oh man, my foot's cramping up, I'm going to lose everything. It hurts. Okay. I don't think that kills the movie. It hurts a lot. I don't think that kills the movie star, though. I think that the movie star is still a big thing. We know, like, the people in these shows. Chris Pratt.
Yes, I agree with you, but I think those movie stars are really concentrated on, well, first of all, when Chris Pratt is a really telling one. So Chris Pratt and I'm really bad with movies actors names, so this is going to be embarrassing. I'm just going to say what's that guy, Thor guy, Australian,
another Chris
with
that
all
I
the
don't
brothers.
know the last name of.
Chris Hemsworth.
Yes.
So a lot of the big stars that are out there right now are like all in the MCU, right? Like they're all in, and I think one of the reasons that is because first of all, movie stars are really concentrated. Like the movies with really big followings now are these concentrated, focused, IP
Events.
centered things that are across multiple series of movies, and it's like this. You're following like a phenomenon that's existed since before, or at
like
least
Star
right at the
Wars.
yeah, exactly. And these properties, first of all, have existed. I think at the same time.
I have the numbers.
Go ahead. Let's hear them.
It's exactly. I'm sorry, but it's a breakthrough. It's exactly what I thought it would be. Like chronologically, chronologically it goes. Seinfeld was like first, and then The Office, and then How I Met Your Mother. Right? We all agree on that.
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
That's
I just
a fact.
verified that.
Yes.
Okay. Seinfeld's highest ratings were 22 million. The Office's highest ratings were, wait a minute, 12 million, I think. Hold on, I lost it.
He has the numbers.
Yeah, 11.2 million. 11.2 million. So
Really?
half of Seinfeld had, right? And then How I Met Your Brother's highest was 10.51 million. It was contemporary almost with The Office.
Does it say what Seinfeld
So it is
episode
dropping.
was that big number?
All of them are like the series finale, except for The Office, which
Okay.
lost. The Office had the highest scores at the beginning, actually.
It makes sense that it would be the finale. That's the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even I watched the finale, and I didn't really care about Seinfeld back then.
So there's a tapering off. I mean, you could see like a huge drop off from Seinfeld to.
But that's getting into like the Netflix thing also, where like people are just watching other stuff. That makes sense.
So I think maybe focusing this discussion on television might make sense, because I think movies are slower to follow, but they are following. So anyway, so what Netflix, and when I'm using Netflix as the proxy for all big streaming services, right? So just
The gold standard.
right. So Netflix has, what they've done is they have made it possible. They've made it possible for a lot more indie type shows to pop up and be really popular, or like you don't have to get the backing of a major studio to do it. I mean, I guess you could argue that Netflix is a major studio now, but
yeah.
But
100%.
But still, like one of the things that Netflix seems to be doing is saying, we're just gonna like pitch us an idea, like, here you go, here's some money, do it. Here's some money, do it. Like a lot more is being done, and so they're kind of like spreading that around, and there's a lot more like small shows. And one of the reasons they're able to do that is because the model's different, right? The monetization model is different. It's subscription based, so a lot of people feel much more free to do like what I guess over in Britain and the BBC's been doing for a long time, which is saying, we're just going to tell a story, and we're not going to feel forced to get pay service.
Well,
to
there's
our
also like
advertising
the
gods.
binge part of it, where like they just give you all the episodes, and most people watch it all immediately.
So much better. So much better when they do that.
So what that is doing is making it so that there are a lot more projects that can be done, because they're smaller. They're done all at once. Like, you don't have to spread it out over this sitcom or television style where we're filming something every week and you're doing it through the season. Like, it's like, let's get it all done. It's done in a cinematic style. Quality's really high. There's all this kind of stuff. And so eventually, and you've seen it happening, the popularity of shows like that.
Sorry, the lights just went out on me.
EJ's lights just went out, and it's just like
it was distracting. Yeah. So the popularity of shows like this has made it so that television, quote unquote television, or TV series or something like that, as in non-movies, are attracting big name stars now. And also vice versa, big name stars are people who have been only on, series, television series, quote unquote, which is way different than it used to be. It used to be that... You done squeaking your chair?
Yeah, sorry, okay. Jeez, Dad.
It used to be that television was like the death knell of an actor, like, right? Like you were a if you were a movie actor, you wouldn't touch television with a 10-foot pole, because that was like a lesser form, right? But now that's not the case.
in the 90s it switched, but yeah.
that's not and it's just not the case anymore, so much so that you have like really big actors that are headlining in these TV shows. And I think that what that's doing, because there's more projects out there, there's more stuff happening, there's more money being given to these smaller independent style things, and people are able to eat them up a lot more. There's a lot more freedom of choice when it comes to what you can consume, that everybody's interests are spread out over a lot of different things. And so the like your focus doesn't have to be on one person. It can be on a lot of different people. And I really think that that's making it so that the blockbuster star is not is losing steam. Like, it's not as big of a thing anymore. When, you know, like people like Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, they exist less and less anymore. And yes, I agree that you've got your Chris Hemsworths, your Chris Pratts,
Chris Pines,
all the Chris's.
I think this is all basically like I would go to the Marshall McLuhan media theory aspect of this, which is like, Marshall McLuhan had this whole thing, which was that the medium is the message, and that like the nature of the medium is like the most important part of like communication. So the reason I bring that up is because technology has changed, and also like culture has advanced in some really important ways. So originally, like, to make a film was such an expensive endeavor, and it required such specialized knowledge and tools, and it was like a real insider's thing. So like only Hollywood and like a few other cities in the world could have a film industry, because there was just so much stuff required for it.
Something I was looking up when I was looking up the Godzilla stuff, which we might not get to, but like Japanese film industry started in like 1897. I was surprised by that. It was like contemporary with American film industry. That shocked me.
Oh yeah. They had a huge like film industry.
And silent films up much longer than we had silent films. Yeah, it was really interesting.
But even then, like, I think that might actually play into what I'm talking about here, which is that like there used to be this mass media culture, and part of it was because that was the only option. Like, and it wasn't just true for film; it was also true for radio and television. Like, all this stuff was just so prohibitively expensive in terms of technology that only a few stakeholders could produce films and media. So that's part of why we had this big mass media culture. And in some ways, we're probably going back to, like, because originally, like, before mass media, we had just like really specialized local culture. You know, like, this city has this kind of play that they really like. This town, this village has this music that's really popular. And we're kind of going back to that, but now it's not geographical anymore because of the internet. I think it's more subcultural. You know, it's like we have all these little subculture niches.
I would agree with that kind of term. Yeah.
It's like niches, it's like a retribalization, but now instead of being physically geographically, it's more like culturally. We're all culturally segregating back up into like these little niches.
Well, into interest groups, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Like, if I like indie weird synth pop, then it's okay to like be like, I'm gonna talk to these people that care about that.
Right. I don't think it's inherently good or bad that we're breaking up into these interest groups. I don't think that's necessarily good or bad, but it can be manipulated, and it is being manipulated by different interests.
I'm just talking about the actual interest groups, like this, like, here's my niche thing that doesn't really like horror movies that of an Italian like directors or something like that. You kind of have to go to like certain places to get that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, and when I was like I think about this all the time. Okay, like this is like kind of a tangent, but it goes into the idea of Godzilla and stuff. Like, when we were kids, right? How often did you find something in your life, like some media or something you could engage with, that was really, really cool? I don't know about you, but for me, it was like maybe twice a year. You would discover some new show or some new comic or some new video game that just was like really amazing.
Like, I remember when Sci-Fi started playing stuff like like they started playing weird stuff, and it was like, okay, yes, Sci-Fi Channel, like, this is something completely new I'm not used to.
Yeah, like, right. I remember like some really specific things for me, like Mystery Science Theater 3000. When I saw it, I was like, oh my god, this is life changing. You would only see stuff like that like once or twice a year in your life, and like most of the cool stuff out there you just never even knew about. But now I just think about what it must be like to be a kid today, where you have the internet and you just literally discover amazing stuff that is targeted like straight to your brain every single day, like every hour.
I feel like, and I've felt this way before, that that I get frustrated when there's not something amazing for me to sit down and binge, you know? Like I'm out of all the really good shows. Now I just have to watch, you know, this
Something over again.
Yeah, now I just have to rewatch, you know, Planet Earth.
Well, now I mostly just watch YouTube. You know, if there's nothing to binge right now, and
That's
there's
true.
there's
I
a
do that
bunch
a lot.
of really cool stuff on YouTube. And that's another thing is that, like, okay, and then this is where it gets into like optimism versus pessimism or reality or whatever. So, like, because YouTube is a direct competitor, I think, to Netflix. You know, and I think a lot of people are. There are a lot of people, especially younger people, who are watching way more YouTube.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Than professionally produced content, right? And so the optimistic idea I think we had going into this with YouTube and stuff was like, oh, this is great. Now everyone can own the means of production, and we're going to have this like Renaissance golden age of where everyone can just be a producer and it democratizes everything. But then there's like the reality, which is the like alt-right Ben Shapiro.
The biggest people are the worst. Yeah.
The funnel, the Nazi funnel.
Also, so there is that, I agree, but also, don't you feel like for you, I know for me, I feel like YouTube is just a different, I just go to YouTube for a different reason. Like, it's just a different, it scratches a different itch than, say, Netflix.
Well, one thing that surprised me is I thought there would be a lot more narrative stuff on YouTube. Because, like, remember in 2007 when we had our YouTube channel, like, how long ago was that? 13, 14 years ago, right? Like I don't know about you, but I thought it was going to be like narrative stuff. I thought there'd be a lot more sketch comedy. I thought it was going to be like people producing films and TV shows, like in their backyards.
But that's
what I
hard.
thought
it's really hard, you know. Like
it's a lot of work.
YouTube kind of like pushed against that in their own way. Like it's more geared towards like not necessarily what we're doing, but like reaction videos and stuff like that, where you include the audience in some peculiar way, where it's like, yeah, I'm doing the same thing as you, and we're both talking about this video.
I actually don't think that YouTube was pushing against it. I think that YouTube was just responding to what was becoming popular, and they were encouraging.
It's all about the algorithm. It's all about the algorithm.
Yeah, it's definitely their algorithm.
People really love to watch like unboxing videos. I don't think anybody at YouTube like predicted that, and they're like, you know, we got it. Like that would be pretty funny though if that was.
Like, back in 2003, they were like, "This is what we're gonna do.
You know
we're gonna
people
create.
Like
Here we go.
Boxes.
Unboxing. Unboxing's the future.
We're gonna create a video streaming service
for cats,
for people and their
like,
cats.
Yeah, but
and opening packages. They get.
I miss the days when it was just cats. I wish it was still just cats.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of danger. See, all of this could be really great if it truly was democratized and if we really did own the platforms. But unfortunately, there's so much manipulation going on.
Well, and there's money. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why there's manipulation. Exactly. And that's what makes it all dangerous and scary and sad. It's like this dream we had where information was becoming free flowing and the means of production were going to belong to everybody. Now it's just like become this like Nazi funnel hellhole.
This is something
humanity.
Like Vines used to be like this, and they killed it. But like that was the true thing. It was like, here's 5 seconds. Everyone does their own thing. There's no monetization. It's just literally like, I'm Vine famous because I make funny skits.
Do you feel like Vine looked at themselves and they realized what they were like? Oh my God, we are the inevitable like conclusion of online videos.
Perfect. It was so perfect. It was so funny.
They looked at themselves in the
Vine
mirror
is like a
one day.
haiku, you know?
They looked at themselves in the mirror one day and they were like, what have
No,
we,
Vine
what
is
have
like
we
a
done?
haiku. I'll stand by that.
And then they sold themselves to somebody because they were like, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah, well,
in good conscience.
There's only so far that format could go. I think it did it. They did what they could do.
No, it could kept on going forever. Like there was Vines for like cattle, like auctioneers set to rap music. There was all sorts of really interesting Vines that could go forever.
Yeah,
I'll be salty about that forever.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? I think Kai, if you're gonna stay for the after show, I want to hear about Godzilla. And but the conversation we were having about this stuff went a little bit. But before we wrap up, I want a quick like lightning question, and let me play this this music that tells us it's the end of the show. There we go.
I know that music.
Huh?
Oh, it's gone now. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's there. It's just anyway. So I
in your
want
heart.
to hear from you. What was the first show that you ever binge watched? Let's start with EJ. First binge watched show.
Well, Mystery Science. No, Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone, because they used to have the July 3rd and 4th marathons, and I would just watch every single episode until I slept, and then wake up in the morning and watch it some more.
I'll let that count. I was thinking more like, you had the thing and in your possession, and you could plug it in when you wanted to, and you just had to keep going, and you just did the whole
Okay,
thing.
well, in that case, I would say it was probably All in the Family. No. Yeah, All in the Family, because I had that. I was an early adopter of like the TiVo technology, but I made my own. I had my own. Remember, I used to have that.
This is
computer
true. Edge built a TiVo in the in the apartment that we lived
2003, I had one,
and we
And
got.
then
And
it
I had
broke,
it-
and you never fixed it.
We
Yeah, but I
recorded
programmed it to
all of
record All
Highway
in the
to Heaven.
Family.
Yeah.
and I watched like 3 seasons of All in the Family on the couch. It was really good.
What about you, Ryan? What was the first thing you ever binge watched?
Not really sure, but I guess Pete and Pete when I ripped all that because they didn't do
Yeah.
DVDs forever. I don't think they still do DVDs. They might now, but like they didn't, so we had to pirate it. And
So that was like a VCD, I think, that we were passing around, wasn't it?
Yes.
they are
Or was it DVD?
DVRs.
I remember it was like really low. I know I had the same.
Although they're
copy you had.
480s. There's no good. No, I have them. They're over there in front of my TV.
Yeah, I think that if I'm not mistaken, that was a copy that was getting passed around in our dorm, and I think it all came from Ashley.
Yes,
It's like
you're 100%
maybe.
right. It's funny that both of yours was like old ripped stuff. I think the first thing that I binge watched was, I think it was we were talking about 24. I think it was 24. Like I binge watched like the first 6 seasons of that or something and got caught up with it. And then after that, the first like true, what you might call like produced series binge watching was after the fact that I could literally start from start to finish was The Sopranos, which EJ got me into. That was the first
I didn't
Those were
take
the
part in
days
that,
when
but
your
you guys weren't
binges
doing
were-
that.
You had to have like staccato binges that there would be like a 3 or 4 day gap while you're waiting for that next DVD from Netflix.
No,
Back in the Netflix
binging was
DVD
exactly the reason why you did this too. I know you did because you gave me the idea where you had the one back when Netflix was discs only.
Yeah.
You had the one cube, but you could upgrade your account to get multiple discs, and I did it
Like
just
3 or
so
something,
that
yeah.
I could
Stagger.
daisy chain the Sopranos discs together. So just as I was finishing one, the next disc would come in the mail.
Yeah,
And
you
then
had to have like your like fantasy football of like DVD scheduling.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So that's the end of the show today. What I want to do start doing eventually at the end of the show is getting into listener emails, like read 1 or 2 emails from listeners and stuff. But in order to do that, we have to get listener emails. So you guys should send us.
Whoa, Aaron! You sound like you're in a boat.
Freaking construction. We're in the time.
You guys should send us emails to jbycshow@gmail.com. Literally can be anything. Ask us questions, give us feedback. We'll read it on the show. We'll talk about it. Maybe we can have an advice segment at the end. Who knows? We'll help you solve your relationship problems or something. Maybe someone can tell us how to dampen sound from construction noises outside of your window. That would be really useful.
I'll give you a million dong if you could teach me how.
Heyo.
Dong.
Yeah, that's a joke.
Vietnamese currency.
That is a joke that will
EJ, I'm still
never
thinking that's
stop
funny.
being funny. But yeah, so that's the end of the show. As you know, this week's theme was Blockbuster. And if you want to vote on what the show's future theme is going to be, then you should head on over to our Discord server where we'll have that poll up. You can get there to the invite link by going to jbyc.net/Discord, or just go to jbyc.net and click on the Discord link. Next week's theme has already been decided, and it is Armageddon. Armageddon.
All right.
Why not Deep Impact?
You're calling it right now?
Day after tomorrow.
It's like a billiard ball.
Remember, Armageddon and Deep Impact were competitors.
Yeah, I got
get
you.
it. We'll talk about it next time.
Yeah. It was a
Oh
funny
my
it was a funny
God,
joke, I
this
promise. let's hurry up and end the show so that we can.
Yeah, you should do that, maybe.
So yeah, if you want to send us news stories, topics, prompts, anything you want us to talk about having to do with that theme of Armageddon, you can send them to jbycshow@gmail.com. We also have a contact form on our website, jbyc.net/contact. Go to the Discord. I already told you how to get there, and or you can tweet us at JBYC Show. I am Bobby. That is Ryan, and also Edge, EJ, the Edge.
American Johnson.
American Johnson, just, live from construction zone, Vietnam. And stick around for those of you live, stick around for the after show. We're going to be right back, and we'll talk to you guys in a week. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Adios. Oh, the construction is so bad.
It was well timed.
It's my life. Has been following me for 5